Today is February 18th, 2020. My name is Theresa Cocozza.
Can you tell me something about where you grew up in your childhood?
Yes, I'd be glad to. I grew up in the Bronx, in the city of New York, and I had a wonderful family, two brothers and a sister, and a great mom and dad.
What are your fondest memories from your childhood?
Roller skating in the Bronx, in the street.
That's so cool. Did you roller skate with your friends?
Yep, all the time. And my mother would always be out there. Teresa, get in here. It's time to eat.
What was your favorite thing that your mom cooked for you?
Oh, she was an excellent cook. I guess, um, I guess lasagna. She was very good.
Now we know where you get your lasagna skills. Did you or your relatives move from another country to the US, and could you explain to us?
Well, my parents were born in Italy. I was born in America and happy to be here.
Did your mom have an accent from her experience in Italy, or did she talk about her experience in Italy too?
She was very intent on having us speak English. She didn't like to, you know, commiserate about what went on in the old country. She was happy to be in America.
Could you tell us a little bit about your dad?
My dad was a very quiet man. He worked very hard, a lot of hours. He was the owner of Daniel's Barbershop in the Bronx. And he was very generous to my mom. I can remember he used to hang certificates on the Christmas tree. Um, not money certificates. He was a good man and he worked very hard.
Did you visit him when he was working a lot?
I always had to bring his lunch. And I go, I don't want to walk all the way up to the Fordham Road. You have to bring Dad lunch. All right. And I bring his lunch. Do you know I have to come all the way up here to bring you lunch? Oh, that's too bad.
So, Nanny, can you tell us something about your siblings or any funny memories you had together?
I know I repeat this story a lot, but my sister had a very nice job at B. Altman's, and she had really nice clothes. And one day she came out of the subway, and I was walking down the street, and I had all her clothes on. She flipped out. My skirt, my blouse, my shoes, what are you doing? And I loved wearing all her clothes.
That's so great. Any funny memories that you have with your brothers that you can remember?
Well, my brother Frank, I loved him so much. And I remember we were together one day and he introduced Peggy, his future wife. And I said to I don't know who I said this to, but I said, do you think he's closer to her than he is to me? Because I loved him so much. And I didn't want that feeling to go away because now he was going and dating with someone. But she was very nice, but not as nice as I am.
Is there anything from when you were a child? Like, did you and your siblings get along really well, or were there any
There was
arguments?
too much of an age gap. Like my brother Frank was the oldest, and then my sister came next. So there was not a lot of interaction between the three of us. I do remember little things about my brother Anthony who died. He was paralyzed and he was in a wheelchair. And my mother used to yell at me all the time. Am I repeating this, Bill?
No, of course not.
I used to sit on his lap. Get off his lap. You're going to hurt his legs. Because I loved him so much. He was a saint. He just reminded me so much of my grandfather. He was just such a good person.
That's great. How did he remind you of your grandpa in particular?
Because he was kind and lovable. And he always talked to me and he was just all around nice to me. I have good, fond memories of my family. They were all good people, and I miss them all. The end.
What was your first job when you were younger?
Oh, I had a big job. I worked in the five and dime.
Can you tell us a little more about it?
Well, I did such a great job, and they promoted me to behind the counter as not a supervisor, but I didn't have to do a day-to-day. No, like I oversaw everything that was going on.
What was your life like as a young adult? Did you travel anywhere or?
No, not that much. In those days, you really didn't. You stayed close to home. My longest trip was going to school and coming back home.
What was your favorite job that you've ever had, and can you tell me a little bit about it?
I worked for the phone company. My dad was very influential in that. He was very close to Murray Greer, who was a vice president. He said, "Look, could you get my daughter a job? She's really good." He said, "Okay, I'll do my best." And he got me a job. And then I became a supervisor in the phone company.
Can you tell us a little bit about when your brother went to war?
I was very young, maybe 11 or 12. And I loved Frankie so much. And when Mom said that he was going into the service, I was so upset. I was crying, and I didn't want him to go. I thought something terrible was going to happen to him. But thank God he survived the war and he came back home.
How long was he away in the war for?
Quite a while, a number of years.
And was this when you were a young child? Like, what was the age difference between
11,
the two of you?
I was like maybe 11 or 12, and he had to be in his 20s.
Right.
So there was a big gap. I remember my mom saying, we were walking together, we were going shopping, and she said, "I'm really happy that I have you, but I really didn't want you." I was very upset when I realized I was going to have another child.
Do you like what memories in particular stick out with you and your mom? Like,
we had an opportunity to be together. We used to go to Alexander's and Crumb's for ice cream sodas in the Bronx. We had wonderful days together.
it's great. And was Crumbs like kind of like the best restaurant around in
It
your
was
town?
an ice cream soda place. You'd get ice cream and sodas and all things like that.
Can you tell us about the first date you would say Pop tried to take you on, and whether it worked or not?
Well, he rang the doorbell and I opened the door and he said, "I got tickets to a show down in New York." And my mother goes, "Theresa, who is that?" I said, "It's Eddie." "Well, tell him you can't go out." "Eddie, I can't go out." "What do you mean you can't go out? I got tickets for a show." "Mom, no, you're not going out with him. You see the way he drives like a lunatic."
Was Pop heartbroken?
He was standing there like, huh? She was rough and tough.
How did you learn how to drive?
That's a very touchy subject. Mom knows all about it. We were in the car. "Okay, take over the wheel." Okay, so I sit behind the wheel. "What are you doing? No, put the brakes on." I opened up the door and I got out of the car and I slammed it. And I stood next to the car. I said, "Go. I'm not getting in the car." "Get in the car." "I'm not." So then I started to walk and he was following me with the car. We got along then.
That's so funny. So he wasn't the best driving instructor?
Not at all. Zero patience.
Did he lie down in the back of the car?
You know what's the funny part is I taught Mom how to drive. I let Mom drive. Not Pop, but me.
That's so funny. And I guess she's a good driver because of you.
She is a good driver. I have a lot of confidence in her.
Like, how long did you guys date before you got married?
It seemed like forever. I guess when I got out of high school, I went to meet his parents, and his father was very troubled because he wanted Pop to go on to higher education, and he had a feeling that the two of us were going to get married. So he kept throwing things at me like, well, what are your future plans? Are you going to get a real job? Um, trying to discourage me from marrying him too early. But we didn't care. We got married early.
Going on to your wedding day, is there any fun memories you have from like when you're getting ready or
It was so
meeting
much fun to
everyone?
be with my sister. She was great. And I was a schlump. I didn't know a lot. She dressed me. She told me what to wear. She helped me so much. She was amazing. She really was. I loved her a lot.
That's great. Was your sister your bridesmaid, or was that like did you not have a
Yes.
bridesmaid? She was
Yeah.
your bridesmaid.
And then I asked my cousin Joni, who I thought was a very good friend of mine, as well as my cousin, and she said, I finally thought I could go to a wedding as a guest. I was so hurt. So I said, well, okay, if you don't want to be in the wedding party, that's okay. No, that's all right. All right. So she was in my wedding party, but that was hurtful.
Yeah, I bet. Was Pop? Did Pop see you before the wedding, or was he like surprised when he saw you at the
He
wedding?
was very good. When I finally saw him, he was very lovable. And then we took a trip to Florida on our honeymoon.
How was that? Can you tell us more about your
Very
honeymoon?
nice. It was very pleasant, a lot of fun, and just the feeling, wow, I'm finally a grown up, and I'm going on a vacation with my husband. It was amazing.
Can you tell me a little bit about your children? If you have any family vacations that stick out to you, or any funny memories from when your kids were growing up?
I have 4 beautiful children, and for the most part, we've stayed very close. We did a lot of things together. Pop always encouraged that. And as they grew older, they visited often, and now they're all on their own.
How did you come up with your children's names? Like, did you name your kids after a family member, or did you just like the name in particular?
Well, Eddie, I named after Pop, my husband. Anne Marie, I named after Pop's mother, because he loved her so much. And Daniel was my dad, and Francis was my brother.
Did your kids cause any mischief when they were younger?
All the time.
Any particular instances that really drove you crazy?
I tried to keep the house nice and neat because my husband was a freak about keeping the house neat. So before he got home, I used to run around like a lunatic trying to put everything back to the way it should be. But they were messy.
What was your fondest memory as a mother, or like your favorite thing in particular about being a mother?
Just seeing my children grow older, and the love I had for them just grew deeper and deeper.
What is the hardest part about being a parent?
Trying to do the right thing, trying to be a disciplinarian. I was not, but Pop was. And he always used to call me very loosey-goosey.
What is a difficult part of your life that you had to overcome?
When I got married and I was pregnant, I lost my first child. That was sad. And even sadder for my mom, who was very upset about it. But the nurses and the doctor, oh, don't you worry, you'll be back. And I was.
And what in particular was a rewarding or joyous part of your life that really sticks out to you the most?
Seeing my children get baptized, being a part of their lives, and the closest that we've kept throughout the years.
What is your favorite thing to do with your grandchildren?
Just being with them, just seeing them grow, and the love that they have for me, especially.
Are there certain family traditions, maybe around the holidays, that really stick out to you when we're all together?
Yeah, it's called lasagna.
Nanny, how did you get the nickname The Queen?
Well, this very strange fella married my daughter, and he labeled me the Queen. I have no idea why, because I'm really not a queen.
Yes, you are, Nanny.
I'm just a regular, wonderful person.